savor every minute of it. I know there was a lot. I actually went into it thinking IIP, everything's easy, no big deal. And there was a lot, and that was when I took it. It's probably doubled in stuff now that you need to learn to keep up. But anyway, these are truly visionary people who've made this possible, and I suspect this year it'll go from epic to insane. So enjoy every minute of it, work hard, study. Thank you for coming.
So they're going to have the last word, but you can't leave here without meeting a prime number of people. So it could be 1, it could be 7, whatever. So meet a bunch of people here.
Awesome. Okay, first of all, big round of thanks to both John and Dave. Big round of applause. Awesome. And also thank you for also joining us for the social tonight. This is a tradition that we do every year after the first day of the class. We invite everybody, or rather, John graciously invites everybody to this wonderful event and brings everybody together. Enjoy the night. This is, like John mentioned, this is really just the beginning. This is really the first day of the class. We have a whole week ahead of us, and I will foreshadow a little bit. The later half of the week is actually the most exciting part of the week, because that's where all the new stuff is. The beginning part is where all the foundations are. The later part is where we catch up to the state of the art, and we actually cover the new advances, even up to things that have been released like literally last week, is how far we go back. So enjoy it, enjoy the foundations, definitely savor the foundations, because this is one thing that in today's world is really missing from AI and people learning AI, is that people skip over the foundations very quickly and don't have a good sense of the foundation. So definitely the first few days are really important to differentiate yourself in that framing, but then also enjoy the later part, and we look forward to having you for the entire week. Thanks everyone.
60,000 square feet, where it's all built out upstairs. We have 27 startups upstairs, a lot of them MIT grads, a lot of them MIT dropouts who are saying, why am I at MIT? There's an opportunity cost, I gotta get going. So that's upstairs. This space we're gonna build out. I have a talk I wanna present to you. First, I wanna hand this book around. If someone could make sure it gets brought back up here. Ada Lovelace. Who does not know who she is? Raise your hand. Who does know who she is? All right, during the time at Darwin, she was like the first programmer. So, AI, people think it just happened yesterday. Actually, 1955. I wear a sweater that says 1954 because it's the year before the term AI was coined. AI has been around a while. Minsky, my neighbor, I went to his house. I said, why did you coin the term AI? Because he did. And he said, well, I was writing a grant to get some people to go up to Dartmouth. It was actually for the whole summer. People think it was a one-day trip. And I wanted to kind of scare the government and make it sound a little bit scary. And if I called it BI, it would have not sounded so scary. So I called it AI. I mean, I do think other people may have mentioned AI, but AI's been around for a while, but programming's been around for a while. I also love history. This is a 100-year-old MIT yearbook. Just pass it around. I had a Harvard person at one of these things put it in his bag and hold it hostage, and I got it back 6 months later. I have an RFID chip in it now, so if you're thinking of doing that, don't. And then I have this. Who does not know what this is? All right, yeah, you are so, you have not lived. I will tell you what this is in a minute, and it's relevant to what I have to say. But let's give a round of applause to these two. It is obscene that they're teaching this class. They are so busy, they have no time to teach this class, but they make this a priority. They want to give to you, and they carve out this time to give to you. And part of what I'm saying to them is, how do we help this become a class that maybe 10% of those getting oriented to AI on the planet are learning your best practices? How does this become a framework? How does this become a way of thinking? But you are lucky enough to be in the class. Now, a lot of people are going to take it online, and it'll be 14 million, 15 million, 16 million, but not everyone can take it into the classroom, and I'm really proud to host you today. I also took a few photos. I'm a passionate photographer, and I took a few photos, and I just learned that I can use this clicker to move this. But these are some photos from today. I haven't color corrected them, but you guys did great. You look great in these photos. So if you are part of the MIT network, let me just see, show it.
Teaching is all you need. And that's like really makes the whole story come together and make me understand more about how GPT and like all the LLM actually works.
Okay, well put.
I really love that answer because the field is moving so fast, but the foundations are the same, and our job is to convey the foundations, but also to put the pieces together in a bigger picture for you so that you can connect the dots. And so it's so awesome to see that coming through. Thank you.
Okay.
Past 8 years through YouTube, and I attended last year also. I met you, and the new thing I saw this class today, the edge level, it's like LLM you were showing us, and apart from that, same like I learned LSTM and RNF and other things. Really great. I appreciate. I follow you a lot. Thank you very much.
This goes back to Ada Lovelace, okay? So this is exponential. Anyone know who this guy is? He's been in this office, on this rug right here, breathing this oxygen. This is Bob Metcalf. And he was at MIT in the 70s when they were building the John Hancock building, the tallest building in New England. And he was looking at it and he said to his friends, I'm going to connect the people in that building, because computers were standalone. And this is the first node of the Ethernet. I tricked him and did a Jedi mind trick and got him to give it to MIT. It's like it's priceless. So the Moore's law, like these curves are happening with AI. You would not be in this class if you didn't believe that. And I held this device before. This is the communicator for the Star Trek Enterprise. Now everyone knows the United States is turning 250 next year. July 4th, 2026. But how many of you know the Wrath of Khan, if you know your fictional history, happens 250 years from now? Now, if you look at Star Trek, I think some of the things they got wrong, like some things are happening a lot faster. But when I'm a techno-optimist, and I want to challenge you to think about how you can take the things that you're learning in this class and apply it to the future. And some of you may be thinking, how do I just apply it so I don't get left behind or I don't get stuck in the dirt? But you can also build the future. So this is Boston, used to be a little peninsula, the Shawmut Peninsula. This is where we are right now. This is where MIT is. They put 20,000 pylons to fill in that dirt. Where we are right now is this building. This building, take a long look at this building. They invented something here that was so valuable that they cut a canal, 0.7 miles, a water canal, to be able to get the product. You see this right here? This is a water canal. They invented something that was in this building that 90% of the state of Massachusetts used, and 9% of the rubber in the United States was refined in this building 100 years ago. Rubber was refined here, and the thing they invented was the hose, the fire hose. What happened was rubber would bulge, so people did bucket brigades, but they figured how to put a woven material around the rubber, and suddenly you had a fire hose. So they invented the fire hose, and it was just cranky. These train tracks, they're here because they needed to move the product. They also invented other things here. This is a tricycle, kind of batshit crazy tricycle. I haven't seen it on the streets, and galoshes and raincoats. But in the Industrial Revolution, right now, you all didn't live through the Industrial Revolution. You're living through the AI revolution. But this is kind of the batshit crazy stuff that was happening. Here's that woven hose I mentioned. So we are near this bridge. This is the first bridge that was built to bridge Cambridge to Boston. And this was built in 1793, okay? Look what the leadership at Harvard had to say about that bridge. They said, don't build that bridge. It'll corrupt our students. So this is that bridge right now. Who's seen this bridge? It's called the Longfellow Bridge or the Salt and Pepper Bridge. And I would argue that by bridging Boston and Cambridge, the two benefit exponentially. Like if they had never built this bridge and they said no bridges at all, we would all lose. So who does not know what this building is? Okay. $50,000 was given to Harvard years ago to create the Lawrence School of Sciences. And the Lawrence School of Sciences taught science in a very theoretical way. It was very abstract, not hands-on, not with industry. Now, when that science program got started, this guy was governor of Massachusetts, Andrew T. Station in South Boston. He did 4 things that I want to tell you about. 1, he sent the 54th Regiment down to the U.S. Civil War, African-American regiment, glory movie. 2, for a decade, he had trains from Dedham bringing dirt every day, 6 days a week, 24 hours, to fill in the back bay right here. And 3, he built 3 big buildings right here that he wanted to put fancy cultural institutions in them. And this is the back bay filled in, this is where MIT is eventually. And the other thing he did was he funded a little initiative. This guy had an initiative he started. His name is William Barton Rogers. One of you could be a William Barton Rogers. He hadn't graduated from William & Mary, but he was teaching geology at UVA. And he had a side hustle. He would take a sextant and survey the state because the Industrial Revolution was happening and they needed to build trains. They needed to build train tracks and factories and sanitation systems. So he hired a bunch of surveyors to help him. And you know what? He couldn't find any skilled. If you needed to do a project and you need to hire a bunch of people to help you with AI and you couldn't find people skilled, he couldn't find people skilled and he was bullshit about it. So he wrote a letter. This is the actual letter that he wrote. He said, let's create an institute to train people for the moment. And he wrote to his brother. And this is the pamphlet. And it was the Institute of Technology. And remember I said the governor had these 3 fancy buildings? This is now Restoration Hardware. It's on Newbury Street. This is where MIT started. And Governor Andrews gave him the money to make it happen. And MIT almost merged with Harvard because President Eliot, who had been the founding chemistry professor at MIT, was frustrated that he couldn't convert the Lawrence School of Sciences into being practical, and he tried to absorb it, but because it was state money, it was unconstitutional. But these are the first 6 courses at MIT. The first 75 years, there was no research. It was just training people for the moment, kind of like what Alex and Ava are doing right now. And course 1 was mechanical engineering. They actually switched that, so today course 2 is mechanical engineering. But it was a very practical program. And here are people working with industry, wearing bowler hats, out in the field, applying what they're learning. Like, you all aren't taking this class just so you could get a certificate. You're taking this class because you want to be able to apply it. Women also took the class. This guy is named Alec. He asked his mom when he was 10 if he could have a middle name. Graham was given to him. And then when he got married, he dated one of his students. He came here to teach the deaf, and he would put his lips on her forehead to vibrate words. She said, I'll marry you, but you got to ask my dad. And the dad said, you've amounted to nothing. You got to become something. And she also said, will you change your name to Alexander? He said, okay. He created the telephone, and he was hanging out at that campus that I just showed you, MIT, and working with technical people, and got the patent for the first telephone. Without the telephone, which actually the first telephone call happened right outside here, you don't get the internet, you don't get large language models, you don't get data. So that's a big deal. So this guy was Charles Eliot, who had been passed over. He graduated from Lawrence School of Sciences, was passed over to teach at Harvard, was the founding professor of chemistry at MIT, and he wrote about hands-on learning by doing, and Harvard picked him up to be the Harvard president, and for 44 years he ran Harvard, the longest-serving president, and he was trying to annex MIT, and he got this guy, Andrew Carnegie, to buy a golf course right here, and he was hoping to put MIT right there. Harvard Business School is right there today because MIT said no. So if you know anyone from Harvard Business School, you should tell them they're the second choice for right there. Harvard Business School doesn't like to be the second choice. I also want to point out around this time, the first car off the earth. That's not a flying car. 100 years ago, the first car off the earth was a car that went under the earth, first subway. And I'm going to come back to this because as you think about this AI moment, language is also going to be powerful, and what we can do is going to be powerful. The other thing that happened around this time, the first marathon, they had revived the ancient marathon from Greece,
in 1897, and people ran they took the train out to Ashland, not Hopkinton, because originally it was 24 miles, and people ran, and the first marathon only had 15 runners, only 10 finished, and each runner had a bicycle person go next to them, and people lined the whole course looking for people to pass out or die. Like, it was a spectator sport of like people couldn't imagine doing this. Today, there are marathons every weekend and tens of thousands of people do it, but it had an interesting beginning. So 100 years ago, 150 years ago, we were thinking about just like getting to point A to point B. So this is old MIT. What happened was these guys drew a picture of a new campus, and they went to this guy who was the Bill Gates of his era. He was Eastman Kodak, Kodak Film, and he was really into chemistry. And he anonymously gave $4 million to build the 22 buildings here that is MIT. And at MIT, there's a lot of bumping and connecting here. That's what's so powerful. That's why I wanted you guys to meet each other, because you should bump and connect. That's where a lot of the innovation comes. And flight was happening. The Wright brothers, when they built this new campus, flew around it. Here's some of the internal stuff. And then this is the president of Harvard hanging out with Vanderbilt Bush. You don't get the hard drive, you don't get the modern computer without him. And they invented the radar project. And Project Whirlwind is the first digital computer. And then right next door here is Charles Draper Laboratory. His middle name is Stark. Iron Man was named after Charles Draper. So isn't that kind of cool? This is the real Tony Stark. He created the instrumentation to land on the moon. And then this is the guy who sent the first email, an MIT grad. And then, I don't know, this is an interesting guy, Irving Kahn. But that's Minsky, the guy who coined the word AI. And then this is Bob Metcalfe saying, let's connect people. So I'm coming to the conclusion, I just told you all these little micro stories of time long ago. But you're living through an incredible time. These kind of stories, like putting a woven material around rubber, there's going to be an AI for that. William Barton Rogers didn't graduate from college, didn't go to MIT, but he created MIT. One of you is William Barton Rogers. The telephone guy who was born in Scotland and was living in Nova Scotia and came down here to teach at BU, the deaf, who was hanging out at MIT. One of you is going to be that person. So MIT has this interesting history, but you all can be part of the next chapter of history by being an innovator, by being a creative, by being a leader in this AI moment. Do people think, when I give a talk, I like to get people to think, what's in it for me? MIT's in his DNA. He's had created a bunch of unicorns. I think like 28 companies or something.
I got a joke.
Right,
If I'd done that with goodness, I would have worn my MIT sweatshirt. Which I almost. So last week, right before the break, shot a podcast with Elon Musk at the Gigafactory in Austin, which was mind-blowing. That'll be out on Thursday if you guys want to check it out. But the Gigafactory is 11 million square feet of aluminum goes in one side, Tesla cars come out the other. It's just remarkable what happens in between. You can't even walk it, it's so huge. But more importantly, right next door, they're finishing an 8 million square foot Optimus robot factory where Optimus robots build Optimus robots. And that's going to be the first iteration of self-improvement within the physical world. And this is actually, 2026 is going to be the year of self-improvement within the AI software world. So this will be the biggest change year in the history of humanity by far. I took this class, Success 191, with my daughter when she was in high school.
So you were part of it, you were networked with him because you both took this class.
It is. I mean, the vision behind this class is just epic. And there was a moment in time, actually. Well, so let me finish. I was taking it with my daughter, and one of the high notes of the demonstrations was Schubert's third movement can now be filled in. It was never finished, and AI can actually write that third movement. And that was like, no way! Holy cow! And that was just a couple of years ago. And you look at what you can do now, building entire symphonies in 2 seconds on Suno. It's just
You're doing this class in concert with others, and some of the others may be less skilled than you or more skilled than you, but you all have something to offer, and the world will be a better place. So meet people.